The kind of leaders we have, front runners that we have, they are almost the same people. They have been tested at different times, holding different positions. What were their record? If you look at their record, it's still the same thing.
The ocean, to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring honest pop news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Television gathers the world again. The International Emmy Award is an award bestowed.
But I remain committed to the United Kingdom leaving.
Since I became Prime Minister, I've said we must get on and get Brexit done on October the 31st so that this country can move on.
Sir, my amendment is that Mr. President should be invited to come and explain the
For the Nigerian government to stop killing its people and
Welcome back to Open Air Sunday, which is an offshoot of Open Air, Open Conversation, our daily political flagship show. Nnamdi's not on seat. I just happen to have the privilege to sit in for him this morning. Now, we've been looking at several issues that are making the round, on the political space, and we are about to look at one of the heated arguments because it's been neither here nor there. If you've been following the issue around the amended Electoral Act, you would have observed that, and for a lot of people, they are like, okay, yes, if you're going to step down, if you're going to contest a public office, that they support the Electoral Act amendment that says Section 84, subsection 12, that says, yes, step down before you begin to talk about contesting for a public office. But again, the deed has been done. Now, a court has ruled against this, and whether you're holding a political position or not, you're free to still hold your position and, of course, contest. Now, the issue around the amended Electoral Act is that INEC has picked holes in the new Electoral Act. After the initial relief that greeted the 2022 Electoral Act, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has picked holes in the new act that may derail the 2023 general election. That sounds scary, but let's continue with the narration. The Commission is seeking practice direction to deal with some of the provisions of the Electoral Act that are considered as inimical to the electoral process. Now, one of such provisions identified by the Commission that should be revisited is the removal of issues relating to pre-election matters from the High Court and domiciling it with the Federal High Court. The Commission said it will engage the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court to get practice direction that will make it possible for cases to be determined where the cause of action arose. Now, INEC National Commission and Chairman Information and Voter Education, Festus Okoye, while highlighting the challenges that may confront the implementation of the new Electoral Act, hinted that one of the big issues that the new Electoral Act has made is to remove issues around pre-election matter from the High Court and the High of the FCT and the High Court of the FCT, and it has domiciled it within the Federal High Court. Now, we need to get back to the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, he first said, relating to having a practice direction that makes it possible for issues and cases to be determined where the cause of action arose, so that we do not have the same situation where a political party will conduct its party primary in Anambra, and then issues around the party primaries will be determined by a Federal High Court in Borno State. Gentlemen, welcome back to Open Air Sunday on Atlantic Television Network. Okay. The issue on ground, as it is right now, is primarily tied to the same Electoral Amendment Act. And the first Okoye is saying they had the issue of domicility when it comes to if you handled your party primary in Anambra State, for instance, the court in Anambra State should be able to, have jurisdiction over that matter, not something that you have to send it to Abuja and then the cycle continues. George, what's your take on that?
I think INEC is right, because that will give room for controversies You can imagine a pre-election matter happening in River State. It means that it can be interpreted somewhere in Kebbi State. It cost a lot. But I believe that the reason why the National Assembly took that position was that, to an extent, they believe that, that's my opinion anyway, that some of the sitting governors take advantage of situations, trying to see how they can subvert the way by compromising the judges who is at the state level and all of that. So, but INEC, like they will seek for practice direction, how they will be able to go for that. I don't know, maybe after now they will look for a way. It's still a process, though it has been signed, but that portion can be repeated. If it is something that will cause major problem. If it will cause problem, because it will look somehow that a pre-election matter happening in River State will be resolved somewhere in Borno State. The implication is that anybody can go to any place and file a case. So look at what it would cause people movement from one part of the country to the other just to resolve a pre-election matter. So maybe for the lawyers will be able to look at that portion of the Electoral Act and see how they can interpret it.
No, Emmy, the issue of the amended Electoral Act has been going on for some time. From the issue of the Section 84 that says if you are in a public office, if you're going to contest for an election, you need to resign, to the issue of domicility when it comes to having jurisdiction over political cases that arises from party primaries and or party issues at the state level. Do you think the issue of the Electoral Amendment Act is going to come to an end anytime soon?
The last time I had the opportunity to speak on this this TV network, remember I said that that Section 84 subsection will not stand even before the court judgment. I made mention that I say it will not stand because it contravenes section of the ground law, and that is what the court just pointed out. You see, issue of electoral act amendment and other laws that governs our election, regulate our elections, will not come to an end soon. It won't. If anybody said it will come to an end soon, no. Why? Because of how we perceive politics and the character that drives politics in Nigeria. Until we check that, check the access to resources, check the rooms that provides opportunity to be corrupted or to corrupt the system. If you check that, you will have the genuine people coming out aspiring for positions. Those who have this crook mind, all of them will run away. What the National Assembly just did now is a justification of something that I have been advocating for a very long time now. They have come to show the whole world that yes, our governors are emperors. There are people who have power to manipulate. And I have also said that the governors are more even powerful than the president. The Nigeria brand of practice, not as enshrined in the Constitution. The president cannot control the National Assembly the way governors are controlling state assemblies. The president cannot control the judiciary the way the state governors are controlling the judiciary. So they just point out they are now running away from that control. So for us not to have this emperor controlling this thing, that something involves us, maybe his own candidate himself lost or loses out from the elections. All you need to do, if this in his domicile within the state, they will just pick a phone and call Mr. George. This is what I want, and it will be given to him. So for us to tame that, let us take it to the federal level so that the governors will be curtailed. But have you solved the problem? Have you solved the problem? That is the issue.
No, that's a big question and a big issue, as a matter of fact. George, this brings us to a critical part of the issue on ground now. Like Festus Okoye was talking about, the INEC is saying, okay, it's better for states to have a domicility when it comes to handling electoral matters that affects their party and all that. But Eddie just read a very critical issue on here, which is the overbearing influence of certain governors, like we have seen them in Nigeria today, over the judiciary. we have a situation where a governor goes out to provide a personal gifts and no gift to the judiciary and all what have you, from houses to brand new SUVs and all that. The challenge now is this: when we have such situations and there are no law that stops these governors from doing this, I mean, if there is, we don't know about that because nobody seems to be implementing that. Now, when we have such issues and the Francisco is saying, okay, the state should be able to have the power to do this, how safe are those who are not as powerful as some of the governors or some of the political godfathers in the state that can readily interfere with a judicial process like Amy just pointed out?
It's exactly what I said earlier. The reason for the National Assembly taking that position is to curtail the excess powers of the governors. Because looking at the whole thing, it's just the incumbent that has the power to do and undo. It means that cases will favor them one way or the other, because even the judges are humans. They are equally product of the Nigerian society. So at some point, if they may have collected one or two, they may have been given one or two gifts. It is just natural that they want to do the bidding of the man who, pays the piper and all of that. So that's the reason why that section of the Electoral Act try to remove the power. But if you look at it, the disadvantage of it is that it will cost a lot. I mean, for a matter that is domiciled here to be moved to any part of the country. So that's how, like what Festus Okoye said, is that they will seek for practice direction on how to go about that. It is not for me to define. I'm not a lawyer. At this point, I'll leave it at that. So let's see how they come up with something.
Okay, go ahead, Amy, please.
The solution to this is, since the National Assembly have the power to amend and re-amend, what they should do is to create special court for that purpose. There will be domicile, since they are afraid of the overbearing influence of the governor. There will be domicile within the Federal Capital Territory. Instead of having a pre-election matter in Rivers that you go to Lagos or you go to Borno, you go to other states to resolve it or to address it, I don't think that is right. Just create a special court for this purpose that will be domicile within the Federal Capital Territory that handle these matters than just leaving it like this, or INEC are trying to see a solution to this, and at the end we engage in another illegality, just like the way it happened here in Rivers State in 2019.
Let me add something.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Creating a special court is not really the problem. It is still human beings that will man this court. And these human beings are equally Nigerians. They can still be reached out to do the bidding of who is paying them and all of that. So it's really a problem. It is for the judicial staff. They should come alive to their oath of allegiance and oath of office. That's the only way.
How realistic is coming to the oath of office? How realistic is that?
It is just for them to say, because of this oath I took, I have to live by the dictates of this oath. Therefore, I'm not going to go contrary to it.
A Nigerian man.
We are saying the same thing, because if no matter how you looked at it,
that is, check the system. This one is properly checked. No judge will be remembered or reminded about his oath of office. No judicial member, no legislative member, no executive member will be remembered or reminded that, see, you took an oath to protect the integrity of the state. No. But today we have very poor system driven by very corrupt-minded persons who are always finding a way to outsmart the other person, and that is why we are here.
Now, gentlemen, I have a challenge, because we've been looking at this whole issue from the angle of those who pays the piper, like the political office holders, interfering with the judicial process. I was having a conversation on this Electoral Act amendment yesterday with a legal luminary, and then we're talking about the issue of the Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act. And then he said something that the spirit of the law reflects the law reflects the spirit of the writer. Now, you were talking about Emmy going to the National Assembly and having them do the needful. They are politicians. They are the ones who will still come back. These are some of them are ex-governors or former governors, former ministers, as the case may be, who are still in the house. How much do you think they can actually play to ensure that we have a proper electoral act in Nigeria? Yes, Emmy.
You see, this question or the blame goes to the electorate, the Nigerian electorate. Don't vote on ethnic sentiment. Don't vote on religious sentiment. don't vote on unnecessary sentiment. Yes, we have politicians. Attitude is a problem here. But we have governors. In their own time, they decided to go against Section 162 of the 1999 Constitution that lumped the state resources and the local government together and said, pay directly to the local government. Let the local government have their fund. Despite that this law exists. That is a Nigerian politician who did that. We also have a politician who decided to conduct electronic election or voting in his own states while conducting local government elections. He decided to go to electronic voting. Why the Nigeria says paper, pen, and all that was still doing that? That is somebody. That is to tell you, yes, every politician in Nigeria to an extent may be exhibiting certain character, but all of them are not same. There are those who are still patriotic to an extent. There are those who still have the Nigeria interest, despite that the system is forcing them to want to compromise. So let us identify them and give these people power. It will take people to change the system. It will take character, attitude to change the system, because there is no time that Nigeria will throw away this 1999 Constitution and have a brand new constitution. No, it's going to be process of amendment. And we take those who have the mind to change the situation, to amend these laws to suit the general interest of the Nigerian state.
I'm coming to you now, George. The docility of the Nigerian electorate when it comes to voter apathy and the nonchalance, and sometimes the selling off of their franchise at 500 naira or less in some cases, seem to be a major hitch in seeing to a successful or a better electoral act in Nigeria today. And that brings us back to the demand we are making as electorate to our representatives at the National Assembly, looking at where we are as Nigerians and the outcome of our elections. How do you think the electorate can begin to speak up? Maybe through civil society, I don't know what you think, but how do you think the electorate can begin to step up their game when it comes to demanding for a proper check when it comes to the electoral system?
I have said it that the process of getting good governance is by getting your elections right.
Yeah.
Once you get your elections right, it confers legitimacy to the elected person, and this elected person knows that the power came from the people, and these same people have the power to remove him or her from seat. It might not be recalling, it might be at the end of his tenure, wanting to go back. They will say, no, you can't go back because you are not able to do what we wanted you to do. So if the election management body, which is INEC, is able to conduct a proper election, using like the electoral act today, there is changes from where we were coming from before. It was tested in Anambra earlier, and we saw that the results were declared at the polling unit, and in real time, people were getting results and all of that. What was gotten from the polling unit is what will be taken to the collation center. If it doesn't tally, that means there's a problem somewhere. So that one is a step in the right direction. If INEC can get the election right, and people, the electorate, even those who have this apathy of not coming out that is their thing, is not my thing, sees that the election process is now gotten right, it means that the next election cycle to get involved. And once they get involved and elect somebody, it means that they can talk to the person that we elected you because based on your manifesto or your blueprints on this and that, we've been expecting that you're supposed to get this and that within so period. How far? Why haven't you gotten it? And if they see that the person does not have the capacity to do that, the implication is that by next election cycle, they will not vote for the person. So INEC has a major role to play to ensuring that the electorate have their voice back. What would they do? Get the process, back it up by law to ensure that if the election is gotten right, I'm sure that people will not begin to... There are some people who ordinarily have what it takes to deliver the goods. But because of the kind of our political culture we operate, they cannot, be elected. So by the time the election is gotten right, the election process is gotten right, it means that anybody, even independent candidacy, without you having, need to go to any of these challenges of internal party squabbles that we see happening in both parties today, you can, as a citizen that is known, that has the capacity, the requisite to lead, you can offer yourself for leadership, and Nigerians will look at you to say, ACT need to come up with this, and the INEC need to manage the election properly. If they get that right, I'm sure that the electorate will have their voice back. They will have their voice back because they can have the right to vote or not to vote. But the election must be gotten right, first and foremost.
All right, thank you very much, George. Now, one of the things that Festus Okoye pointed out is that the hole that they have picked, which is the issue of court jurisdiction when it comes to electoral matter, is that if it's not well taken care of, that it may derail the 2023 general election. What's your take on that?
To the extent to derail the election is what I don't really see there, because it's party primaries or whatever issues as they know it will come from the party. And if the law says A, it means the court ought to look at the A and not try to be judicial activists trying to create law where there is no law. And if the court can hold on to that sanity and integrity, I don't think there will be much problem. The only thing I see more as a problem is the same electorate. Are we really ready to have a better elections? If we are ready, then we see the mentality that will change. People will not begin to see election as means to make money. When you have that mentality towards an election, it is certain that somebody will give you money and you also vote according to what was given to you. And I always told people, I was in one platform last week, and that you should support me to achieve certain things, particularly maybe an election. Don't you think that I am paying you for service? I paid you.
Yes, but Emmy, yes, you're correct, but a quick one here. The Nigerian economy, which shouldn't be an excuse, but is our reality, is biting hard. Yes. Imagine 2023 is coming and one man say, maybe George has about a community of 1,000 people under his care that can get to give that 1,000 votes to one man. And then the politician comes to George to say, for each of the family that made up this 1,000 people, I'm going to give them all scholarship to anywhere in the world. And then you expect that George should say, no, I will not take that, because you're not the right person. What are the chances that his family will not mob him to death for taking that decision?
Albert Einstein says something, that insanity is doing a particular thing, repeated over again, and expect different result. We have been collecting money to vote all these years. Still yet, we don't have the jobs. The economy has not improved to the extent we expected it. The bad roads are still there. The healthcare facilities are not still there. But yeah, we'll be collecting this money. And this money that are given to you, you are not shamed or dragged to the polling unit that we are completely here. No. Somebody gives you that money behind the scene and expect you to go and carry out or execute that idea. So if you go to execute it, it means you are actually asking for what you are seeing today. I told them, 5,000 naira somebody pays you, calculate it 4 years. When you calculate it, at the end of the day, a date will not be more than 3 naira. So 3 naira is what you have voted for. So what would the 3 naira solve for you? Nothing. So why don't you, on the other bad side, because some persons are so bad, that is why they are coming to buy the vote.
Correct.
So on the other bad side, why don't you even collect the money and chop it and go there and vote according to what you know is better than Nigeria state?
No, that could be a very dangerous. That could be a very dangerous trade. Let's not encourage that. But go ahead, George.
The question is, how many of these electorates are intelligent enough to understand what the issues are? You don't use your standard to judge the next person. You're enlightened. You know the candidate. You've read the candidate manifestos. You've looked at their body language. You know the antecedents. You can judge for yourself who and who will be able to do this or that. How many of these people in our rural communities understand? That is why it is still believed in today's Nigerian politics that this man is a strong man politically. Because what does that mean? He can go to his place and convince his people, a horde of people, to say this is where we are going, and they follow him. They cannot even, they won't be able to ask questions. They do not have the faculty of discernment to know that we should go this way or that way. They follow the leadership. So the leader buys their vote. But when you come to where enlightened people are, they'll be able to ask themselves, is this the right direction? No, even if you give me money, I should be able to go there and do what I have in mind. How many are we? Those who are intelligent enough to understand. Very few, minute. Majority of the people do not know this. Majority of the voters. So it's a problem, and I feel that over the years, the Nigerian politicians, deliberately or not, I may not say deliberately, have decided to emasculate the people economically, which is giving room for this vote buying. Vote buying is real in our electoral process. It's very real. Every election cycle, go to election ground, you see people having their money, say, vote for me, I'll pay you ahead of time, vote for me and all of that. They do it. So it's because they understand that that's economic variable is an issue. The people do not have what to eat.
Wisdom is not acquired in school.
No, but
Wisdom, I just want to check something like what he said now, so that the people there who are watching us, most of those who maybe don't have the superior knowledge that we have, wisdom is not acquired in school. And what is wisdom? Right application of knowledge. A man you don't see before, a man maybe you only hear about him buying jet, buying this for himself, living the extravagant life and never care about the community before. Suddenly, days to an election, he started coming, buy you tomato, buy you this, and later it comes to you, vote for me. Don't you know that that person, you still need sufficient knowledge to understand that this one is actually coming to get something from you and run away again?
I agree.
Sorry to say, sorry, let me just add before you go ahead.
Okay, go
you
ahead,
might not, let's give this practical example. You and I are contesting for the governorship of Rivers State. In our various communities, they might not even see me physically to campaign there. What we do here is to go to local government by local government headquarters. There are other hamlets, fishing settlements, rural communities that they will not see the aspirants or the candidates rather. Now, those candidates do have their henchmen in those places. If their henchmen come to say, vote my candidate, because they already know him as a leader in the community, he gives them money. If you vote my candidate will be able to carry me along. And if he carries me along, I'll come down to buy these things for you. It's as simple as that. It has nothing to do with wisdom. It's just the enlightened ones.
The same person who have not been doing anything for the community coming to you now as agent to vote for my candidate. The same man who have been chopping communities' money. The same man who have been running away with community development.
Let's look at it from this angle. From George's analysis now, analogy of the situation we find ourselves, because these are the critical aspects of what we need to really begin to talk about if we're going to manage the issue that has to do with the electorate. This man you're talking about, let's say you're contesting for governorship, and I know you have promised that I'm going to be your commissioner for this information, for instance, and then I have thousands of people who are my followers, and I tell them, okay, this man is going to make me his commissioner. What that happen? When that happens, this is going to happen. They already know that they are lined up behind me. So at that point, their thought is in parochial form. They are not thinking of who George can be if he was a governor. They are literally looking at, so in this instance now, what role do you think, which is the question I've been trying to bring out, what role do you think that because this is our reality, and you may not want to agree to that, so what role do you think that the National Orientation Agency can begin to play when it comes to sanitizing the mindset of Nigeria and repositioning it for a better electoral system come 2023?
Are we talking about National Orientation Agency? The media one, the elite one, or the community?
I'm talking about National Orientation Agency.
The elite one.
I'm talking about National Orientation Agency.
Because we don't see them.
They are non-existent.
You don't see them. People who are saddled with such a responsibility. You know, some of these insecurity problem, people agitate now on them. It is me talking to my people, you talking to your people. It is for the message to be preached in the churches. That is, if we have the right mind, who we dare to mount the pulpit and speak the truth, not this one who are also affiliate politicians and the rest of them.
I mean, you're making all kinds of spurious accusations. It may not be right that they may have their limitation, they may be there. It may not be right that the National Orientation Agency is not doing what they are supposed to be doing. Maybe they are doing it, but not as much as we expect. I don't know what you think.
See, we just talked about being realistic here. Since this week, today is the first day of another week. So last week, did you hear them do anything? All right, we want to be going to market. We
will take a short break. When we come back, we are going to look at the 2023 elections. Now, Ariwa Group asked Northern presidential aspirants to step down. Honestly, I don't know what you think about this. We'll take a short break. We'll come back. We're going straight into this conversation. Open Air Sunday continues afterwards.
But I remain committed to the
United Kingdom leaving.
Since I became Prime Minister, I've said we must get on and get Brexit done on October the 31st so that this country can move on.
Sir, my amendment is that
All right, welcome back. We are on the last lap of ATN Open Air Sunday this morning. Coming to you from Atlantic Television Network. I've been having this round table with George Azunda Chinda and Emifie Haga. The issue on ground right now is on the 23 elections, of course. Arewa says a northern presidential aspirant should step down. Now, the race for the 2023 presidential election is gathering momentum, no doubt, across Nigeria. Now, northern-based groups under the aegis of Arewa Coalition for Rotational Presidency have come out strongly against aspirants from the north. They are saying it would be unfair for the north to retain power after 8 years. Now, the group also vowed to practically rise and mobilize against all presidential candidates from the north who dare to contest under any political party during the general elections. A statement jointly signed by the chairman Abdullahi Biu and the secretary Hamza Malfashi said it would be fair and just for the seat of the president to return to the south after President Muhammad Buhari's tenure elapsed. The statement further read that the current brewing political tension stirred by the call for power shift to the south by southern governors and groups can only be doused when all stakeholders from the north, governors and political parties agree to the presidency. Now, in the interest of peace, they said, equity and justice more so that the north has been in power for 8 years now. The idea of north even contesting for the highly exalted position of the president should be immediately jettisoned. All those who pick nomination forms, especially from the People's Democratic Party, should step down if they are true Democrats. All right, welcome back to Open Air Sunday here on ATN, gentlemen. This is a rare occurrence here. I don't think we've ever seen this in the Nigerian political history. George, where young people are saying they're literally threatening political parties. In fact, they call that the PDP to say, and that's the issue of the zoning and all that. Saying if you dare to do that, they are going to stand up against them to ensure that that doesn't happen. What do you think we're looking at with such group coming out to make such bold statement as we look forward to 2023?
I want to take an unpopular position on this matter. It might not go down well with Nigerians, given the kind of country we are in. This issue of northern and southern dichotomy. For me, I've always been a proponent of meritocracy over clannishness. I believe that is one of the ways we can get things right in this country. Excluding certain persons from a certain region simply because you feel it's not their turn, makes it difficult for which to get the right leadership. It doesn't mean that the right leadership cannot come from any part. Well, please, let this be an open context. I know it's democracy, a game of numbers, and maybe some persons feel because they have more numbers. But if the electorate, if the Nigerian people begin to go against tribalism, go against ethnicism, go against religion and all of that, begin to think about the right candidates and vote along that line, it won't matter where the person is coming from. So, but because this is the reality today, the North have had sway for nearly 8 years, and the other way is coming up to say that they want to give their support to the South, threatening anybody that will come from the North and all of that. My question is, how realistic is this? The Arewa youth is just a group that has membership. It doesn't cover the entire youth of the northern part of the country. It's just an organization that members who are very few and minute given the total population. So what can they really do? As we are told, in fact, before this thing came up, people like Atiku have already bought form. So are they not going to be the same people that will even support the Atiku? So for me, what they are trying to do is to balance up things, not to heat up the polity, to give hope to the certain part of the country that you can equally get good leaders to come and rule the country. But for me, like I said, initially I would take an unpopular position. My own position is meritocracy over clannishness. anybody who is good enough, who has the wherewithal, who has the pench and the reach and the connect ability to deliver the goods, should come on, present him or herself for election. If you're elected, what we want, what the ordinary man in Rumukuta suffers is the same thing that the ordinary man in Kano suffers. What we need is the leadership that will make things, make things to work properly for Nigeria. If we get that leadership, wherever you are, the most important thing is that things are working. Even when somebody from another area rules, that's when you see things. We'll give a practical example. Jonathan was there before. The road leading to Turkey was not even constructed. It was when Buhari came on board that Buhari had to construct that road. So how would people from Otoke feel that they had a president for nearly 6 years, their road was not constructed? Someone may want to argue that it's not a federal project and all of that, but what am I saying in essence? It is not about when somebody comes from your place that is ruling that you get the best. Well, let us look for the best that can make things to work effectively for everybody, so that people will, in fact, we need to decentralize Nigeria. The system needs to be decentralized in a way that people will not have interest in who becomes president. Let us begin to hold our leaders from the local level, the state level, responsible, because those are the people.
Presidential aspirants. However, we know that Atiku Abubakar has indicated interest, may have even picked his from all the feelers we are getting. We also have the Tambuwa, we also have the Kwankwanso, all indicating interest for the presidency come 2023. How powerful are these groups? Because they are saying that they basically gave a subtle threat there. How powerful are these groups to stop these people from contesting? And of course, how relevant is that to the issue that Nigeria is facing right now?
System. So, and the turn by turn that we have been practicing till now has not really helped us in any way. But what do we do? See this group as rightly saying to the threatened people because of the kind of political influence they wield in the north. If you are very conversant with the form of politics in the north, they only have a channel for communication when it comes to political issues. Experience very important. Also, they do it in the Islam or whatever. But here in the south, we don't have such structures and all that. We just go there, we go home. So these people have influence to an extent to talk to their persons. But based on justice in this context, like I say, they are to run from the north. Obasanjo was there for 8 years, right? Jonathan took over 6 years. So if you add 8 plus, how many years is that? We are looking at about 12 years, right?
Correct. So that time you had late Yar'Adua.
So that is why some persons are also telling you that if you are calling for justice, then we are still behind from the north. So we still need to fill that 1 year or 2 years for us to talk about the equity and justice. But how good or sound is such an orientation? Going by the southern and northern dichotomy. We are in a relationship. The relationship sometimes not because you are weak, but because of the unity and good of all, based on the turn by turn. So that the culture there is different from the people culture of the south. I've experienced it. I move around to see.
The party, APC party, could also go to the west.
Yes, the west.
But there is a Tinubu there. Okay, good. Let's point out that, but there is a Tinubu there that is also clearly it has indicated interest and is making all the moves, all the right moves.
South, east, and south.
No, I just wanted us to clarify that because of those who are watching the conversation.
Yes,
but go ahead.